The Angry Queen and Her Cunning Maid. Prologue. In the great kingdom of Illyramol, where the hills kissed the sky and the rivers whispered ancient secrets, there ruled a queen feared by all, Olori Abeni. Her beauty was like the full moon, but her heart was as fiery as the sun at noon. She was known for her unpredictable temper, a rage that made even the bravest warriors tremble. Among her many servants, one stood out, Marili, her personal maid. Marili was young, clever, and blessed with wisdom beyond her years. She had learned to survive under the queen's wrath by being careful with her words and swift with her actions. But no one, not even Marili, was prepared for the storm that was about to come. The queen's wrath. One fateful evening, Olori Abeni sat in the palace courtyard, watching as her attendants fanned her with giant palm fronds. The air was thick with the scent of roasting goat meat and the distant echoes of talking drums. Her anger had been boiling since morning, though no one knew why. Then her eyes settled on Marili, who was approaching with a golden goblet of fresh palm wine. The maid walked gracefully, her feet barely making a sound on the polished floor. But just as she was about to hand the goblet to the queen, her fingers slipped. Gboa. The goblet fell, and the rich palm wine splashed onto the queen's embroidered wrapper. The entire courtyard fell silent. The guards stiffened, the other maids held their breath, and even the wind seemed to pause. Olori Abeni's face darkened. Her eyes burned with fury. "You foolish girl!" she thundered, rising to her feet. "Do you know how much this wrapper costs? Do you know who I am?" Marili fell to her knees, her heart pounding. "Forgive me, Olori. It was a mistake. A mistake." The queen's voice dripped with venom. "You will pay for this, Marili. The punishment." That night, the queen summoned her chief guard, Jagan, a man feared for his cold heart. "Take Marili to the dark forest before dawn," Olori Abeni ordered. "Leave her there to die." Jagan hesitated for a moment. The dark forest, known as Ibo Ika, was cursed. No one who entered ever returned. The spirits of the dead wandered there, seeking revenge on the living. But Jagan knew better than to question the queen. He nodded and left to carry out the command. A cunning escape. Just before dawn, Marili was dragged from her sleeping mat and taken towards the forest. Her hands were tied, her legs weak with fear. The guards remained silent as they pushed her forward. But Marili was no fool. She knew begging wouldn't save her, so she thought fast. As they neared the edge of the cursed forest, she turned to Jagan. "My lord, I know the queen ordered my death," she whispered. "But will you not at least grant me a final request?" Jagan narrowed his eyes. "Speak quickly. Let me say a prayer to Asu, the trickster god, before I enter the forest." Jagan scoffed but nodded. Marili knelt, whispering a prayer, but as she did, she reached for the tiny cowrie shells hidden in the hem of her wrapper. She threw them into the air, and the wind carried them in all directions. "Asu has spoken," she suddenly cried. "The gods demand that whoever enters the forest must do so barefoot, or they will face an instant curse." Jagan and his men hesitated. The fear of the unknown gripped them. Marili seized her chance. With lightning speed, she kicked dirt into their eyes and dashed into the forest before they could react. Jagan cursed under his breath, but he did not chase after her. None of them dared to step into Ibo Ika. They returned to the palace, telling the queen that Marili had entered the forest and was surely dead. The return of Marili. For 3 moons, the kingdom forgot about Marili. But whispers soon spread. Rumors that someone had seen a young woman dressed in rags near the sacred river. Some swore they heard laughter in the wind. Others claimed that the spirits of the forest now danced at night. Then, one evening, as the queen sat in her chambers, a shadow appeared at the doorway. It was Marili. The queen gasped. The room fell into silence. You are dead," Olori Abeni stammered. Marili smiled. "The forest does not kill those who respect its secrets." The queen's hands trembled. If Marili had survived Ibo Ika, then she had gained something powerful. "Tell me what you saw," the queen demanded. Marili stepped closer. I will tell you, but only if you swear on your crown that no harm will come to me. The queen hesitated but then nodded. I swear it. Marili leaned in. I met the spirits of old. They told me secrets. Secrets that could either bless this kingdom or destroy it. The queen's eyes widened. Tell me. Marili smiled again, this time knowingly. Not yet, my queen. First, I must rest. From that moment, the queen never raised her hand against Marili again. She feared what the maid had learned in Igbo Ika. The once powerless maid had outwitted the most feared woman in the kingdom. And so, Marili remained in the palace, no longer a mere servant, but a woman of mystery, one whom even the queen dared not cross. Epilogue. Some say Marili truly gained the spirit's favor. Others believe she had simply used her wits. But one thing remained certain. From that day forward, the queen never let her anger control her again. And deep in the forest, where the trees whispered and the spirits danced, Marili's name was forever remembered. Moral of the story: in a world where power is often misused, wisdom and cunning can be greater weapons than strength and anger.